Hello, I'm Josh the Fox Mills, and this is Toon'd In. Here I review cartoons, no matter how new, no matter how old, no matter the cost. Boy oh boy, I get to take a look at a cartoon that was featured on Cartoon Network's Adult Swim lineup. Brace yourself, viewers, for Nightmare on William Street. After the credits, a brief history of William Street, followed by my review of this week's entry into Racism Month, Minoriteam. William Street is an animation programming branch of Cartoon Network and Turner Broadcasting. They are responsible for programming and filling the Adult Swim block every late night and early morning on Cartoon Network. They began in 1994 and are managed by Keith Crawford and Mike Lazo. Some of their original programming is really good. Most of it's awful, like today's review. Well, let's get right to it. Running from 2005 to 2006, Minoriteam was a superhero parody cartoon created by Adam de la Pena. It only went one season before getting cancelled, with 20 episodes counting the pilot. Each episode ran for about 11 minutes, about as long as a standard half episode of standard shows. It was drawn in the style of the old Jack Kirby comic books, and animated with intentionally choppy frames to simulate the 1966 Marvel superhero show, which I'll get to later in another episode eventually. Minoriteam unapologetically exploited race relations and stereotypes for not only laughs, but major plot points. Each of the Minoriteam team members were, well, a minority, and were based off of that minority stereotype. The villains were also based off of racial stereotypes, mostly white stereotypes, but we'll get to that. With that being said, it's time to meet the Minoriteam. Dr. Wang, the Chinese human calculator, who is the team leader and direct parallel to Professor Xavier of the X-Men. He has many mental abilities and is a paraplegic. He runs a laundromat where he charges extra for you to get your clothes back. He has faked accidents and is a gambler. He is a stereotype of northeastern China, even looking like Dr. Fu Manchu, and obtains his power by drinking a special tea, which we actually find out later is his own urine. So he put pee-pee in your Coke. Nice, Minoriteam. Nice. El Jefe is a wealthy Mexican CEO of an oil company who dons an oversized sombrero to cover his mustached face and wields the mighty Leaf Blower 3000, the most deadly weapon in the universe. Fasto. I wish. No, not Fisto. Fasto. Fasto is dressed in a t-shirt, cut-off jeans, and a green mask, and is this universe's fastest man that ever was. This black speedster is also a horrible womanizer, and both in and out of his superhero persona, he can easily seduce any woman, and is often looking for booty, as he calls it. If you want to avoid Fasto, eat your bootios. They make sure you ain't booty. Watch wrestling sometime. Next up is Neil Horowitz, a wimpy Jewish accountant who becomes the mighty Jewcano. He possesses the power of the Jewish faith and a fiery fury of an erupting volcano. He is the least offensive of the team and honestly kind of awesome in my opinion. Lastly, there is Non-Stop, an Indian convenience store clerk who is immune to bullets and fire because of his lead-lined skin. To turn into his bearded, bare-chested superhero persona, he utters the magical phrase, "Abrakazoom!" This is a superhero show, and where there are heroes, there must be villains. White Shadow is the villainous organization the Minoriteam fights almost every episode. It is named after their leader, who wears a business suit and has a pyramid helmet with a single eye representing the picture on the $1 bill, as well as perhaps secret societies like the Illuminati or the Freemasons. He's kind of like Lex Luthor. He is representative of the man, who gathers more power and money for himself while holding everyone else down. The corporate ladder is a green-caped, pipe-smoking ladder with a stool on its top, which makes it almost impossible to climb. This mimics the beliefs of some who think that corporations are difficult to scale for minorities. He frequently makes fun of White Shadow's leadership. Similar to DC Comics' Solomon Grundy, racist Frankenstein has the body of a monster and the mind of a racist. He has a southern accent, uses poor grammar, and speaks in the third person. This blue-skinned monster dresses like a yuppie white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, complete with pink sweater. His catchphrase is a reoccurring threat. "Racist Frankenstein hits blacks with hands!" He fits the stereotype that all Southern people are stupid racist, which is not true by any means. The last of White Shadow's regular villains is the Standardized Test, a giant robot with an eraser for a head, and modeled after the old Scantron sheets. He speaks in a monotonous robot voice and is based off of the idea that standardized tests are biased against minorities. There were other minions, like Seamus McFisticuffs, the drunk leprechaun, but that's more than enough for me to talk about. It's time for my final thoughts.
What does the fuck say?
Make no mistake, this show was disgusting in several ways. But really, looking at it, I have to admit there's a hint of intelligent writing. The way a lot of the characters were written required research into race relations and their history. That being said, this was played as a joke nobody wanted, and instead of being a positive force in the world, they decided to turn it into a wretched piece of racist and frankly unfunny garbage. Don't waste your time watching this show. It's not worth it. Next week, I end Racist Month, at last, with another installment of the Gundam franchise. How can Gundam be racist? Well, find out next week when I review G Gundam. Until then, stay tuned.